Trump news. Nancy Pelosi destroys Trump, calling him grotesque. Trump loses the election. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has little interest in defending her former boss, Donald Trump. In an exclusive interview with Newsweek on Saturday, the House Speaker Emerita said, "He's grotesque," while standing on the margins of the Munich Security Conference in southern Germany. Legislators and heads of state from all around the globe descend on Germany for 3 days of what the event's yearly attendees affectionately call diplomatic speed dating. Global leaders, high-ranking government officials, and other politicians have been attending the summit for decades. Concerns over this year's version have been palpable. The recent criticism of NATO's foundational principles by Trump, the inaction of Congress on the Ukraine aid package, and the tragic loss of Alexei Navalny, a Russian political prisoner and longtime opponent of President Vladimir Putin, have all cast a shadow over the event. As the weekend headquarters for the massive American group sent to Germany, the suite at the Hotel Bayerischer Hof became the site of an interview in which she expressed her belief that he received too much attention. Pelosi, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Vice President Kamala Harris, and a slew of senators and representatives from both parties arrived with the intention of reassuring American allies who are worried about the divisions in Washington, D.C. and the possibility of another Trump presidency. After telling them, "It's not going to happen," Pelosi told you the same thing. "Does Nancy Pelosi know where she is half the time?" asked Trump campaign spokesman Stephen Chung in an email message to Newsweek in reaction to Pelosi's comments. President Trump presided over an era of relative calm and economic growth. More suffering, devastation, and anarchy have ensued under the leadership of Democrats and crooked Joe Biden, who have emerged as the greatest danger to American democracy to date. The Trump-Biden race. As in 2020, an increasingly irate Trump will face off against the incumbent, Joe Biden, in November's presidential election. Like the White House, Pelosi has framed the election as a fight for the very existence of democracy in the United States. "We have to win that election," she added. The 45th president, with whom she has had numerous high-profile confrontations, is despicable, the senior California lawmaker continued, adding, "It cannot be considered an option." When asked about a Trump comeback on his way to the Republican nomination for president in 2024, Trump has ignored a slew of personal scandals, 2 impeachments, and 91 felony charges. A number of polls show that Trump is receiving nearly as much support from voters as Biden, who is 81 years old. This gives Trump a fighting chance. Pelosi expressed her admiration for Joe Biden, who she had earlier praised for being extremely sharp and always on the ball. On the other hand, Biden seems to be in for a challenge in November. Like Biden and his supporters, Pelosi proclaimed, "Democracy is on the ballot," urging voters to repeat the huge turnout of 2020. The percentage of eligible voters who cast ballots in that election was 62.8%, according to the Pew Research Center. She went on to say that Americans should be concerned about his coziness with Putin, his disrespect for the greatest force for freedom in NATO, all these years after World War II, and of course the personal kitchen table freedoms like a woman's right to choose the size and timing of your family. That's an economic issue at the kitchen table. He is attacking other freedom concerns as well, Pelosi remarked, mentioning the right-wing attacks on the LGBTQ+ community in particular. That there's a place for them in the economy of the future and address the kitchen table concerns are Democratic goals, she continued, adding that they also aim to influence Americans. Trump preyed upon before on the opposite sentiment, she claimed, despite the dominance of the presidential campaign and Congress's persistent inability to approve a new funding package for Ukraine, American influence at Munich has remained strong over the event's 60 years, according to Pelosi. "It's awkward to even talk about the election, except for the fear that people have that a grotesque person could be president of the United States. This person would be someone who toadies up to Putin, praises the president of China, chums up to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and takes pride in depriving women of their reproductive health choices. What on earth happened? I mean, come on." Despite his dramatic rhetoric, Trump's record with NATO in his first term included higher defense spending, troop commitments to Poland and Ukraine, and the procurement of Javelin anti-tank missiles. Russia has not made the same territorial advances under Trump as it did under Obama or Biden, according to a number of Republican congressmen who were in Munich this weekend. Even while Trump will inevitably bark, some of his supporters are holding out hope that a second term will bring similar bite.